recording. I have not recorded, but I am now.
Sweet. As Jocelyn would say.
Hype.
Oh, there you go. Keep that handy. That's a good one. All right, here we go. It's time, and it begins in 3, 2, 1.
Horde, Alliance. We've come to this crossroad again and again, Jaina. It always falls apart. What's different this time?
The World of Warcraft podcast, so you don't have to. This is the instance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Instance. This is The Instance episode, I don't know. Where's the thing? I could look at it. It's episode 563 for June 28th, 2019. I'm Scott Johnson, joined by, with, and near Garrett Weinzerpel, all the way from Florida. Garrett, welcome. Good morning.
Morning, Scott. Well, you know, after do the whole time zone thing. Afternoon for me.
That's true. You guys are, what is it? It's 10 minutes after noon. Are you starving? Are you gonna you gotta eat. Are you gonna eat?
I had eggs.
Oh, well, you'll be fine. Eggs will get you there. I had eggs too. I put them in a microwave. 2 minutes.
Tell you what, I'm not eating that flatulent fish that deep sea Murloc had me go get for him in Nazjatar.
Lurga. Oh, I have a recommendation and a warning real quick because you brought it up. I have these, somebody sent, it was for a different show, but somebody sent me something called Ostrim, which I'd never heard of before. It sounds like I don't know, a pill or something I'm supposed to take, but it's not.
Is it ostrich jerky?
It is. It's ostrich and beef. It's a combo. And what I like about it is it's not very greasy. However, I have a warning. If you're going to buy these, going to get these, they're tasty. They're good in a pinch. You need a nice little snack. You're on a hike or whatever. These are probably perfect for that. My warning is they will give you the worst, most toxic, freaking Chernobyl level gas you've ever had in your life. So just, you've been warned. Putting that over there. Probably done eating those for a while. My family wants me to move out. And yeah, don't eat those unless you want to.
Well, they'll stay in your recording basement and don't leave.
That is good advice from
Unfortunately
Garrett.
for your family, gas rises.
There. Well, look, Mr. Science, that's impressive. I like it. I like where you're going with this. Hey, we're back and we're here to do a show. As you may notice, the Europeans are not with us. If you're watching the video live, there's a Sylvanas and Jaina in place of them in our new backdrop, but Terpster may be joining us.
Terpster and Patrick got so much hotter this week.
Oh, didn't they? I'm not sure I agree with one of them politically, but the other one, hubba. No, I don't know. I know what's going on. It's because we're an hour late. I had a doctor thing today I had to do, and I came back, and it was because the show had to be bumped, and they're in the Europe time zone, and they got kids, and it's too hard for them, so they couldn't be here. However, Garrett and I are here. We're going to make this work. It's been a weird week all around for me. I know it has been for Garrett. Just a funky week.
Over this week, listeners. So if I get a little cranky,
yeah,
it's because I'm done. It's Friday. I'm out of Fs.
I'm hoping whatever we do, I'm hoping we touch some kind of nerve so we can truly see what a Garrett going off kind of rant is.
I'll be fine.
Our PG-13 rating means you can drop at least one F-bomb and show me at least half a boob. If you want to go more than that, you want to go full boobs and all F-bombs, I'll just have to bleep them and censor them.
Well, if I show you half a boob, Twitch is gonna ban the channel for like a week.
Fantastic. That's what I was hoping for. All right. This is a kind of a big week for World of Warcraft players, despite weird.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's gigantic.
It's massive. We finally got the Disney crossover I've been waiting for. I've been just running around Nazjatar singing Under the Sea. It's been wonderful. I got the kettle drums going.
Yeah. Are you a little bummed that they seem to be just fine without the water? Like, what was the point of having the water in the first place? Y'all are just walking around and living.
Listen, Scott. We're dealing with Naga, who we have fought above water many a time.
Mm-hmm.
We're partying up with an offshoot of the genetic gene pool from the fish people in Pandaria.
Yeah.
The Jinyu. I forget what the new versions are called. but they're basically cooler looking Jinyu. I mean, everything we're dealing with in Nazjatar, we have fought on land at one time or another. So, I'm okay with it. I'll let it. I'll allow it.
You're going to allow this one to slide. Okay, it's fine. I mean, I can't complain very much either of having a good time in there. Oh, my mic just went weird. Let me fix that real quick. Sorry, everybody. See, this is another technical shortfall this week is this weird problem I'm having with my mic. All right, it's back. It's good.
I got to ask, I know we're in the World of Warcraft news, but I am most curious. The burning question is, you have a green screen now.
Yeah, I do. You can't see it because I'm just sending you green screen. Oh, neither can the chat. Okay. Because of the ramshackle structure of this morning, I haven't had a chance to do this. But normally, I would put a new background there. I did go full green screen. There's a big old green screen right behind me. I can do all that stuff now. I don't even know why I care, but I did it, and now it's a thing. But that also caused me a lot of problems because part of the reason that's back there is I moved everything, and people who know me know I have a big L-shaped standing desk that was custom made for me out of oak. It's heavy. It's a big freaking heavy oak desk thing, and it's permanently standing. To move this is a huge nightmare, but I decided to do that because I had some other technical issues, and the only way to really solve it was to dig through all my old cables. I'm like, if I'm doing that, I should just move stuff around to where I want it. So I did that, and I moved this beast like a big Tetris piece and just went this direction. And then I went, oh, I've got all this rear room now. Let's put up a big old green sheet of green screenery. And I did. So, yes, to answer your question, I have gone full green screen. And none's the wiser. I didn't go full, like, let's paint the wall. I guess I could do that, but I'm not that cool. Anyway, that's that. Yeah, the patch. It came, and I have a couple of thoughts before we get too deep into it. I have not spent a moment yet in Gadget Mad Max Land. I haven't gone there yet.
I am very surprised because also, oh my God, dude, I had a friend over this weekend. He stopped by, came by Monday night. He was visiting from Los Angeles, and somehow Fury Road got brought up. Actually, it's because he listens to There Will Be Dungeons.
Oh, great! And
he's a college friend of Kyle's, and he was like, "Yeah, I love that show or that podcast." And I was like, "Man, have you seen Fury Road?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "All right, take your drink, move over to the couch. We're watching Fury Road right now."
That's
I haven't watched it in years. Yeah. Still a perfect film.
No, it's a perfect movie. You did the right thing. You stop right then, and you get everybody on the couch, and you go. You don't wait. You don't sit around and talk about it. You don't discuss it. You don't try to make a decision.
There was no option anymore. Yeah. It was Fury Road must be watched. Yeah. And then I went the next day. 8.2 dropped, and got my butt to Mechagon. I can't believe you haven't seen Mechagon.
I know. Part of it is
known for you.
I know. Part of it's a schedule thing. I haven't had a ton of time, so what little time I had, I got grinding away in Nazjatar, Shittar, whatever it is. How do you say it? Say it again.
So it's kind of driving me nutty because I'm hearing all the crazy Naga ladies say it, and they do pronounce the J, but extremely quickly and more quickly than I can make my mouth work.
Yeah.
So they do say like a Nazjatar,
yeah,
but I can't do that. Yeah. So I just say Nazjatar. It's like a 3-syllable word, and I'm done. I'm out.
Right. That's totally fine.
That's the best I can do, fine listeners.
Rad guitar. That's what I'm going to call it. But anyway, that place is cool. There's a lot going on there. So I got kind of wound up in that. And then I got busy and I had a bunch of tech issues and had to, like I said, redo everything. And it's just taken all my time. So I haven't had near enough time in that patch that I would like. And certainly I can't wait to get over there to Gadgetville as soon as I can, because that looked rad. I want to see that stuff. And everyone tells me, oh my gosh, this zone's made for you. What are you doing? Get over here. So that'll probably happen this weekend in more earnest. But as it stands right now, I've spent most of my time under the sea. And it's been fine over there. There's stuff to do. I mean, look, I don't know how you feel about this, but aside from story beats and a few other things, when you're a 14-year veteran of World of Warcraft, you start to realize that when you get into this new content that they drop as patches, that you're just kind of going to get the same things you always get, and it's okay that we're getting it. It's just you can't ever approach one of these content patches and go, this is going to change everything, because it just won't. Like, the game is going to still be Warcraft. It's going to play a lot like it always has. We're going to tab a target through people, and we're going to cool down our way to oblivion, and it's just the way that game's going to play, and it's okay. And it hit me this time again where I was like, all right, Scott, expectations should be right where they should be, which is this is World of Warcraft. This is all going to play like World of Warcraft. I'm going to do a quest for somebody when I first get here. It's going to be a single quest. I'm going to meet them up on the hill after I'm done. They're going to say, good job, let's go do the next little bit. I'm going to do that. And then the people I meet down there by that campfire, they're going to have 3 quests each. And then I'm going to go do those for them. And they're going to be kind of side stuff that isn't really tied to the full story. But I got to do those for the other one pops. I'm going to go do those. You take my meaning. Like, we're going to go down the same path we're always going down. And you're
describing World of Warcraft in general and
yes.
the challenge that laid before it for the rest of eternity.
Yes.
And it has been sparring with for 14 years.
Right.
It's not even patch specific, right? So I don't really know how to respond to that.
I don't either. That's the thing.
Or it isn't. And being a big Night Elf fanboy,
yeah,
I'm losing my shit over this patch. I am so into it.
What? Okay. Now this is good. This is a good perspective because so far I'm feeling like it's a lot of here's that same old stuff you always do. Good luck, and here's the new necklace, and that's cool. And go for it. I am
of the opinion that whether people realize it or not, or recognize it or not, or are aware of it or not, that your enjoyment of a lot of patches, especially when new zones are introduced, your enjoyment, your opinion of it is going to weigh very heavily on whether or not you're interested in the aesthetic they have chosen for that patch. Because of the challenges that you just mentioned. Like, it's the same game. Like, if you've been playing it since the beginning, you know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like 8.2 hits and suddenly we're playing an action RPG.
No, that's totally a good point. And I certainly didn't expect that going into it. I just think I think this time, for some reason, I had a moment where I went, oh, okay. This is why some people, after a long time, get real cranky about it, because they feel like they want to blame the game, they want to blame the developers and all of that. But really what they're blaming is they've done a thing for a really long time, and they're being asked to do that more. And for some people, that's just not enough anymore, right? I wish it when people felt that way, that they would just realize that, understand it for what it is, and go, okay, well, I guess I just don't want to play this way anymore, or I need a break, or I need to go try something else or whatever, instead of going, it's not what it used to be. Blizzard's fault. They broke it. This and that. Like, I'm not trying to create a straw man here. My point is, like, it's easy to blame Blizzard for you not having a good time, but maybe, just maybe, you've done it a lot and you kind of don't want to do it again. And I didn't feel that way while I was playing. I was having a great time, and I can't wait to finish out this content. But I did feel like it's just the same shoes I've been wearing, and they're comfortable shoes. They're good shoes. They get me where I need to go. They're just the right size. My toes don't hurt. I know it by heart. I know what a thing is. I recognize the patterns and the systems because they're good shoes. And that's what World of Warcraft is now, right now. It's either good shoes or there are people who are just pining for a new pair of shoes. Does that make sense?
This is just the cycle of an MMO player.
Yeah.
You go through periods of like this being like your jam, and I couldn't imagine playing anything else, and then you get kind of burnt out, and you want to go, cheat on your main game with whatever. For World of Warcraft, let's see. For me, the first game I cheated on it with was Rift, and then it was SWOTOR, and then I tried WildStar and realized it was just WoW again with a cartoon wrapping, and I immediately left that game and went right back to WoW. Like, you get this ebb and flow, and then you'll take a break, and then one day you're just gonna be like, I feel like playing WoW, and you're gonna get in, and you're gonna be like, oh my god, that's right. It's like riding a bike.
It's going to feel good immediately. It will feel good immediately.
So if you're not in that zone right now, that makes total sense, dude.
Yeah.
But imagine, because you're right. It's not going to change. You're aware it's not going to change. Imagine 8.2 had brought in some crazy long lost spin-off of Thousand Needles.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would have lost my mind
right now.
Oh yeah, no, I'd probably would we even be recording a show? I mean, that's how crazy it would be. I'd be so excited.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like, if this was for me, if 8.2 dropped and it's like, and we're going back to Draenor and we've got a new orc area, I'd just be like, oh, I don't care. I don't give a crap about another red leather hut with spikes sticking out the top. Like, that doesn't do much for me. And that's why Draenor was such a flop in my mind as of an expansion, because I was just so over orc stuff.
Yeah.
But here I am, getting to enjoy two of my favorite things aesthetically, which is like crazy underwater barnacle laden insanity, and ancient elven ruins. It's so up my alley. I'm in love with it.
I'm glad this patch is speaking to you like that. I'm feeling good about it, but I'm not exactly over the moon about it. It's just sort of like, okay, finally it's here. I am, how do I put this? It's not a concern, and we mentioned it before, but now that I've actually got to see it and sort of start grinding it, the Azeroth stuff, the Azerite stuff is now basically a glyph system. And that's okay because I liked glyphs. That was a system that worked well and it was fine. But I think my expectations were dashed a little bit, where I was coming into this hoping this would feel like a brand new progression system, that in the way that artifact weapons sort of felt that way. And this doesn't quite feel that way. It feels better than it was, but it just feels like it's glyphs. Remember glyphs, everybody? How about some glyphs? Let's do glyphs again.
I mean, I've got an extra button that I'm forgetting to use now, so it feels a little artifacty to me.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Again, it's for me. It's kind of brought it in line with what my original expectations for this damn necklace was. Like, this is kind of what I imagined it was going to be when they announced the Azerite system in this expansion. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm over the moon with it, but it's certainly an improvement on what has been a pretty sore spot for, I think, most of us with this expansion. So I still chalk it up to a good thing. It's just that I don't think anyone was expecting for the Azerite improvements in 8.2 to just be like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever. I've completely forgotten about artifacts. I think it's an improvement.
Yeah, it's something I wish would have been there on day one, and we would all have been okay with it. But it's not it's not gonna make anybody lose their minds in excitement. And again, you're back to sort of grinding out a new progression, and that's okay too. That's cool. I guess I'm just kind of in a weird neutral position right now. I'm not overly hyped. I'm not under hyped. I'm just there, It's Warcraft. It's always going to be the best MMO until somebody says otherwise, and nobody's quite done that yet. Lots of little second placers for me, but no one's ever really reached it. So when there's new content there, of course, that's where I'm going to be. Gives us great stuff to talk about on the show, of course, and I don't know. It's like someone in the chat says it's a lot like your wife, and when you're playing other games, you're cheating on her. I mean, maybe. I don't know if I'd go that far with that scenario, but it is a little bit like that. It's like just someone you've been around with for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I always use the concept of like the garage, because one day I dream of having like 4 cars.
Yeah.
And but like, in World of Warcraft, I have my garage or my stable of characters, and I move around and I have my favorite. But that's also the case for games. But Warcraft is like, I don't know, it's like that one you always go back to. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying anything prolific here. Like, this is just video games for the majority of players.
Yeah, and I think that's no matter what you're into, like whatever you're really like. I've just talked to a friend of mine who cannot stop playing ESO. He's just completely enamored with ESO. And I don't blame him. I think ESO is in the best position it's been, and it's super strong right now. But it's the same kind of devotion. And there will come a day where he feels like that's old hat, and he's seen it all, and he's done it all, and that's how it'll be. So what you said earlier about MMOs is true. I also think there's a possibility that everybody who's excited about what's coming up with Classic will go through the same sort of thing. You'll have a honeymoon. You'll enjoy yourself. You'll have a great early time, and then you'll just settle in. And it's okay. It's okay to feel that way. I just want people to know that. You're not cheating on anybody. You're not, doing anything bad if you decide your game isn't for you that month or that year.
Yeah, to get into the kind of psychology of it, I think a lot of the people we're seeing get very angry. Well, people get it. Creators on the internet have a tendency to get angry all the time for all sorts of various reasons, and sometimes it can feel like their angry reactions are almost like on a script, like they have a playbook of, oh, X happened, my reaction is Y.
Yeah.
But I think for those that I feel that anger may be legitimate and not, I would put out there, crafted because it works for their brand. If you're legitimately getting angry at this game, I really do think you just need some variety.
Yeah.
I think it's easy for a lot of us, especially MMO players, to forget that for a lot of us, when we first found out we liked video games, we played a lot of different video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really healthy to go and play other things and have other experiences.
This month's supporter bonus show, by the way, might delve into that very thing. Little preview from Garrett.
May delve into anything and everything except World of Warcraft.
Yeah, in fact, I would say if you're watching live, you have time to sign up for that thing and get that bonus show between now and the end of this, because we're going to record it today and put it out to those people first today. So if you want to get that early, great. Or you'll wait a week and you'll get it then. Whatever you prefer.
Yeah. So, I TLDR, I think it's dope, and that's totally fine if you're like, it's not enough to bring me back. I think that's a really fair reaction. It's part of the reason that I'm really excited for Classic, because I just enjoy Warcraft and I enjoy being in Warcraft so much, but I do also go through these periods of like, it's not for me. And I think Classic will give me just that little bit extra to bounce off to. Now, instead of bouncing off to another MMO, I can bounce off to Warcraft, but different.
Right. And
it's something I definitely see myself kind of doing.
Yeah.
And also just Blizzard games in general. Like, I'm very much a general Blizzard gamer. I really enjoy basically all Blizzard games except for Overwatch. And right now I'm really bouncing around within the ecosystem again. There was, early this year I was spending a lot of time on my PS4 enjoying Spider-Man, but right now they're doing pretty damn well between the event and Heroes. Hearthstone shows no signs of stopping. Right when I thought I was like, okay, Hearthstone's going to be quiet, they're dropping teasers for the next expansion already.
Mm-hmm.
So, Blizz is doing pretty great right now, I think.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons to have some fun. I mean, we got some stuff to talk about later that kind of bum me out, but we'll get to that in a minute when it comes to other Blizzard games. But yeah, for the most part, sure. And if you're playing other games, like you got me all excited about Forza, and I've been playing that, Horizon 4 in particular, and I really like it. Like,
become Xbox friends, Scott, because if nothing else, I need your Drivatar in my game to beat.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it'll be easy. You just rip right past whatever dumbass AI takes over for me when I'm not online. You'll kill me. Yeah, Drivatars are fun. All that stuff's fun. Like, get a little variety in your gaming life, mix it up, and then you come back to WoW and go, my old friend. How are you doing? Sweet. You got these new things to do? Awesome. You got Classic running? Great. I'll spend some time with you for a long time. And then you can leave for a while again. You don't have to devote your entire soul to this constantly. I know we have listeners right now. I'm probably some in the chat room. We have listeners I know because I get these emails all the time. I haven't played WoW in 8 years, but I still listen to you guys every week. It's like, even those people are, they sort of...
So, before we move on, I'm not done complimenting 8.2 yet, because I really have to say I don't understand how the WoW team keeps impressing me with zones. You would think at a certain point I would get into some new zone in World of Warcraft and go, this, I've seen it before, but I haven't. Like, damn it, it looks so good, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
They've done such a good job with the design of Nadjatar and Mechagon, frankly.
Yeah. My only complaint with Nadjatar is that it's very hard sometimes to find the path you need to get on to go, because there's a lot of verticality in that zone.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Mm.
Like, I took a wrong turn and ended up dying because I got swarmed, and that hasn't happened to me in a while, and it felt a little old school to me. Like, I kind of liked that I got owned by a bunch of Naga because I made a wrong turn.
Did you live? Did you survive?
Oh, no, I straight up died. No, I had to corpse run.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
And,
yeah, I haven't died in the new stuff yet, but I suspect I will. I always do, because I get lost, and especially when there's a lot of verticality, and it's just my brain's bad at directions. So it's like, okay, wait, that arrow's there. I want to cut through here. Oh, there's a giant cliff, and I can't go straight up it. All right, I guess I got to go around.
I didn't PTR at all, so this is all new to me. So as soon as I got the Nadjatar and unlocked my essence for my necklace, the first thing I did was go back to Nadjatar and just discover every zone. So I just went out and explored, collected all my flight points, and I made one or two wrong turns for sure.
What's the little goblin looking fish person? Do you know the name? The one that quests with you in the early part there?
Okay, so I've got an admission to make. I may have rolled with my Alliance Warlock first. I don't know, Scott.
Well, let's just say this. You race trader. Just kidding. Plenty to go around. There's this little fish-eared looking goblin. It's basically a goblin that looks like an underwater goblin. It's got like his ears are the same size as goblin ears, but it's got like gills in it. And
is it Geblins?
Is that what it's called? Giffin?
Gill goblins is what is coming up on.
Are they really called gill goblins?
Goblins, really? That's what's coming up on WoW Wiki. I thought they were called like Geblins or something weird.
That's hilarious.
Oh,
all right.
Okay, Gilblins is what I was thinking of. Yeah,
Gilblins. Okay.
Gilblins are gill goblins found in Bajir.
Okay. Well, maybe that's what these are again. I don't know, but I want to kick him. I just wanted to put that out there that I hate that character and I don't like him, and I'd like to kick him, just boot him across the dry land that is now Nazjatar.
I'm forgetting their names, but at least on the Alliance going out to Mechagon, the gnome and goblin couple from the latest Warcraft novel play a pretty big role, and I'm so stoked to see them in the game again.
They were in which novel?
They were in the most recent one. Freaking with Sylvanas, and I'm forgetting the title. Oh my god, chat room, help me out. Reddit. It's in this room somewhere.
Yeah.
Before the storm. I can see it across the room.
Before the storm. That's
I got the characters' names, but they were a really charming part of that novel.
Nice.
And,
I like when they do that. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Sticking it in there.
They were like, "Oh, go talk to these people," and I'm like, "I think it's gonna be the goblin and the gnome from Before the Storm." It turns out totally was, and they're just as charming in the game as they are in the book.
Yeah. So here's the deal. They put out a major, I don't know, what, on this show we're supposed to be able to just talk about whatever. We don't really worry about spoilers because, if it's happening in WoW, we should talk about it.
Well, when Patrick's not here, that's the case.
Yeah, that's true because he gets all weird about it. I don't know if everybody wants to know that Jaina and Thrall have a moment or not. But if you don't want to know about how that pans out, I guess skip ahead a little bit. But we're just going to talk about it. I don't know when this even happens in the story because I'm not there yet. But apparently you save Thrall and Jaina Jaina in particular are instrumental in saving Bane Bloodhoof from certain demise.
It's when you finish the new leg of the war campaign.
Okay, so you finish it. That makes sense because that's how they punctuate all that stuff. So you do all that. Thrall, of course, in that recent cinematic where he gets out of his lovely Nagrand living space and decides to put the axe on his shoulder and go back to work. Things happen, and now he's hanging out with Jaina, and they have a little bit of a moment where they're sort of talking at the top of the show. You heard me play a little bit of that. Thrall's feeling pretty down. I'm going to repeat it so we can just talk about it, so hang on a second.
Horde, Alliance. We've come to this crossroad again and again, Jaina. It always falls apart. What's different this time?
And she says, her reply is, "We are, Thrall. We're different this time." Now, I like the cinematic. I think it's great. But aren't we just kind of back to the whole, hey, someone's gone wrong. We got a big smelly problem to deal with. It's not Garrosh this time. It's Sylvanas. So we better join forces, and the Horde and the Alliance got to go do it together. Because that's what I got out of that.
No. Confirmed that faction divides will be removed in the next expansion. That's what I'm taking away from this.
Forgot about that.
I mean, could very much be wrong, but I read, as someone who's hoping for that, when I see this scene, that's just like you're just taking an entire tank of gasoline and pouring it on the flame that I am keeping for hoping that one day my night elf and my blood elf can hang out together.
I get that, but also, and you know what? I wouldn't mind that. I think I'd be okay with it, although I think it's intrinsic to the game to have the separation, so I just don't know if I ever see them really doing it. But I'm kind of with you. Here's the thing, though. In that scene, you got Sourfang and Bane and somebody else. Who else is there? I can't remember who else is
there. I mean, Is
that it? That's it.
Isn't it? It's Jaina, Thrall, Sourfang, Bane.
No other Horde. Yeah, that's it. So they turn to her, and I think it's Sourfang who says, hey, when you get back to town, make sure you tell Anduin that we're with him or whatever. It's all just a little kumbaya for me. Like suddenly, like, whoa, wait a minute, are we going to be this friendly? Are we going to be, hey, tell your leader I kind of like him after all. Tell him thanks for letting me out of that jail. That turned out that was real good. Like, it's just a little cozy for me. If indeed Warcraft is about this division between the Horde and the Alliance, and forever will be so, it seems like these guys are a little too in bed with each other this quickly into an expansion that is all about Horde v Alliance. And now it's just everybody versus Sylvanas, I guess, which is like everybody versus Garrosh again. Concerned?
I agree. I agree, and it's been my concern and complaint about the story arc for this entire expansion.
Yeah. So
because I still go back to the beginning of the Legion expansion and watching like Sylvanas and Varian kind of like respectfully fight side by side, and I took that as, oh, Sylvanas is a pragmatist and a good leader, and to me all of that has been thrown out for an easy scapegoat villain to move the plot forward in this expansion. Not everyone agrees with me. There's a lot of people like, no, Sylvanas has been evil the whole time, and I'm like, I respectfully disagree.
I do as well. I think she had a turn, and now she's in a bad place. I just don't want this to all boil down to that. I want it to be more complex. But
the other thing too is I think that this is just drawn on really long, and I feel the writers overestimated how interesting this all is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm far more interested in what's happening in Nazjatar and Mechagon. I'm done. I don't care about the war campaign anymore. Can we please see the fruit of all of this extremely slow, meandering time gates of story?
I do like chilling. I like hanging with Nathanos, though. That makes me weird, I know, but I really like him. A lot of people hate his guts.
Great.
Yeah, he's great.
Nathanos is the best the best sentient sex toy I could ever hope to be my quest giver.
Wow. You're assuming things about the relationship I hadn't considered, but
I mean, when your lover chooses your new body for you, that infers a lot.
I guess it does. They don't really touch on it, but sometimes what you don't say is the most meaningful thing. Well done, Blizzard. You've done it. All right, let's talk about the big controversy of the week. There's always one of these. How do you say this? Silverian Dreamer Mount is the name of it. You can pay $25 for it, and everyone's like, well, you guys never talk about these money mounts. What's the big deal? They're also giving it away as a reward if you buy a 6-month subscription. And as you might imagine, a huge bunch of players are all ticked off about it. Huge shock there. Everyone grab your pearls.
All right, Scott, clip this entire section, make a thumbnail with your face, with your mouth agape, and say greedy Blizzard is greedy again in all caps with a bunch of like lens flare effects. Put it on YouTube. We're going to get at least 50,000 views.
I don't know if I mean, I know there's always controversy and people want to, turn their outrage meters on whenever something like this comes out. Like this is some sort of money grab or a way to boost subs. And I would answer, of course it is. That's what they do. They're in the business of trying to improve subscriptions to their service game. So once in a while, they're going to have a promotion that encourages you as a player or me to go spend money in a place that I haven't yet or commit to a longer subscription period and then incentivize me to do that by giving me a thing for doing it. I don't know why this is so shocking to anybody. That's the way these businesses are run. And this is how WoW has always been run. Maybe not always, but when it's made sense for them and technology's gotten to a place and players willing to spend money on extemporaneous things they wouldn't have otherwise has continued to grow in the industry in general, Blizzard was just as quick as anybody to be a part of that. So I don't know why any of this is weird. It's just, oh, look, another promotion. Do you want it or don't? Get it or don't get it? Like, I don't understand what the freak out is.
I mean, I don't disagree. Like, easier way to say this, I agree with the sentiment that in a game with a subscription, there should just be in-game ways to get this type of stuff. I can't argue with that. Yeah, technically you can get gold and you can convert it to battle net balance, yada yada yada, and there's a roundabout way. But that's I look at that as a technicality. So like, I get it. I get that sentiment. I understand it. However, we've had store mounts for years now. They're clearly not getting away doing away with it. Yeah. It's clearly working. They're clearly selling them. So I just don't care that much. Yeah. It's what it boils down to. It doesn't bother me that much. It bothers me a little.
Yeah. I feel like it had to come up because certainly on the show, because for some reason it dominated the news this week in a week that should otherwise been dominated by the patch itself, by the content itself, by those kinds of issues, and there's plenty of discussion around those, but for some reason this thing rises to the top, and I looked at it and went, okay, well, this is just the same. It's what we do. That's what they've done. I guess the only difference here is this isn't just yet another $25 mount and that's it. This is one that you could get an alternate way, and people perceive that as I don't know.
It's because if you're an extremely popular creator within the WoW space and your entire brand is built on outrage, that this is what gets you views. Mm-hmm. That's why. Yeah. In a week when 8.2 comes out, a patch that is good, it's a good patch with a shit ton of content, and I just like, if that's how you have built your brand, how you have built your channel or your podcast or whatever, is being outraged about things, doing a bit about 8.2 and all of the stuff it's bringing to the game isn't going to play as well, isn't going to be as on brand as shitting on the new store mount.
Yeah. City in the chat room says, because the WoW community at large has become corrupted by salty man-children who want to do nothing but tear down the game. That faction exists, but I would actually say that it's not like any large group of people, this is a thing. So I can't boil it down to that. I don't think this doesn't speak of the community at large. But yes, people get mad. People do their thing. I think it's ridiculous. Don't buy the mount. Don't get the 6 months. Or do and get the mount. Like, I'm tempted to do the 6 months because I'm going to do it anyway. So I do a 3 month now. Why don't I just do the 6 and get the mount for free? Like, they're just giving you an option. You decide if it's of value to you and you do it or not. To me, it's that simple.
Getting away from the larger overarching issues with content creation and community in general, I would say don't do it because this mount is ugly.
It's not
a dumb-looking dragon.
Whole different issue, and I agree with you. I don't think it's that cool. I think it's kind of lame looking. So it's not really motivating me beyond like, well, I'm close enough to 6. I may as well just jump it and add another one to my arsenal. But the truth is, there's nothing about this mount. Like, I wish I could say to them, hey, is it possible to trade out this one you're showing off with one of the ones in the back catalog? There's a couple of those I never paid for that I would really like. Like, I'd like that. But they're not going to do that. And the shiny's nice, sure. It's shiny. But that's that's polygons and pixels, man. You need more than shiny. I need design. I need, like, wicked, different looking, I don't know, something. It's just it's another Drake. It's another dragon. It's boring. It's blue. It's boring.
It's a beak dragon with a fluffy tail.
Wait, what are you saying about
beak dragon?
What are you saying about beak dragons with fluffy tails? What's going on? Not a fan?
I would honestly rather have like my 17th proto Drake than this thing.
So there's some people in the chat are saying, well, I don't think with a subscription we should be paying for anything outside of that. And I would say
that's the sentiment like I agree with, and that's why store mounts do bother me a little. But again, the problem is like clearly someone is buying this enough that they're going to continue doing it. I don't know how many times I can say, I wish I didn't have to buy things or have the option of buying things, because I don't have to buy it, right? No one's forcing you, and that's true. But at the same time, it would be nice if this was also available in the game through some type of achievement or rare spawn. Like, that would be freaking cool.
Well, and because these things are subjective, it's easy to maybe see a mount that's available for $25 and say, well, nothing in the game is as cool as this. Clearly, they're saving their best work for outside the game money.
And,
but again, it's subjective, right?
I'm sure there's a lot of listeners who are like, Garrett, I think this dragon looks cool as hell, and I take my money, please. And that's, it's fine. I felt that with like the bat mount. I love that bat mount. I wish that was available in the game. Yeah. I wish I didn't have to pay for that thing.
I did buy it because it's cool.
It is a freaking cool mount. Yeah. So is the I really like the giant fairy dragon mount that changes colors. That's unique looking. That's cool.
Yep. And here's the problem. In a game like this, since you didn't earn it other than in real world currency, you appear with it in game and nobody's going, oh, look at that, like they used to with the mount you could only get by heroic dungeon clear, blah blah blah, whatever achievement it was. Now it's just like, and no one ever goes, ooh, that guy spent $25, ooh. Like it just loses that particular cachet, which bums me out a little bit. But
it's fine.
It's fine. Like I say, it's not like you said earlier. It doesn't really get me worked up one way or the other. This particular one, it's just kind of like, all right. You guys haven't had anything to complain about for a while, so there's one.
Yeah, what gets me worked up is the reaction, because it's like I'm just kind of exhausted with it at this point.
Yeah. Plus, this week is weird too. I don't want to think about anything this week. Check this out. Mike Morhaime had an interview. He did this in Spain. It was part of the VG247 conference. And apparently he had a non-disclosure thing, not non-compete.
Non-compete.
Yeah, I guess it's a non-compete, where he couldn't say anything. That's up now. And he talked about a bunch of stuff. He accepted an award, first of all. And then they asked him about his non-complete contract and why Heroes of the Storm failed. I hate that word, because it's still being updated and patched and playing. So I don't know why you'd say failed, but whatever.
I mean, dude, it's it's interesting for sure.
Yeah.
So our Heroes podcast is doing better than it was doing before BlizzCon.
Yeah, imagine that. Like,
very strange.
Yeah. Well, part of it is because you guys are almost the last one around. Like
I'm sure that plays a role for sure. But the community in Heroes of the Storm is small. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like it's bigger than League of Legends. It's not. Like, it's just factually like a pretty far below third place in the MOBA field. But its community is extremely passionate. They're really bought into the game. They truly love it, and the team is still doing a very good job of keeping it updated.
Right. Well, I felt like this was.
Failed is. I mean,
I know the word's the wrong word. It needs to
arguing
be
with semantics here. Like like if you're VG 24/7, you're not like a you're not a Heroes or Blizzard specific website. Like, yeah, okay, if you're looking at it in terms of like how many players it captured and how much money it made, yeah, sure, it's a failure. I think that's a fair term to use.
Yeah, in business terms, certainly it is. What Blizzard wanted out of it, absolutely, it was a failure. But in terms of delivering what I like to play, it's the only MOBA I want to spend time in. I even played Dota this week because I've been well, that's a different story we'll talk about later, but I kind of got roped in on this freaking auto chess crap. And much to my chagrin, I think I'm sort of hooked on it. And it got me interested in playing the Valve one, playing Underlords.
How's that crow taste, Scott?
Well, a little gamey, but I mean that in a video game sense. Anyway, I really like it. And I thought, you know what would help me probably is to be less cynical and more familiar with some of the Dota characters, even though they're kind of rip-offs of Blizzard characters anyway. Like, I can tell who the Illidan-like dude is, and I can tell who, freaking Tree Prophet or whatever his name is, he's...
Nature Prophet.
Yeah, Nature Prophet. He's Malfurion. Like, you can tell who these guys are, but even then I thought, let's give it the fair shake. And I'd played 1 or 2 matches before and never liked it. So I fired up Dota. I downloaded the 30 gig install and played it again and played 3 games, won 2, lost 1, and still... At the end of all that said, I'd rather play Heroes of the Storm. The moment-to-moment gameplay of Heroes of the Storm I just think it's better. But it's too late. And that's what the point is they squeezed out of Mike Morhaime. So here are the few things that we got out of him in regard to lots of stuff, not just Heroes. His non-compete ended in April, and he's free to pursue whatever he wants. That's an interesting way to say that, because I think everyone thought he just was going to straight up retire, but maybe not. Maybe he wants to, I don't know, do a small team or do something closer to the origins of Blizzard. I don't know. That's an interesting statement. But anyway, says he's currently in the brainstorming phase and doesn't have anything concrete to share. Some of his ideas are games. Some of them are not. He thinks the Heroes of the Storm team made a great game, but it was too little, too late. Or it was a little too late. Added that in there. I mean, what were they, 5 years after League had taken off or whatever it was?
I don't think it was quite that, because God, what was it? When did it come out? Because for me, like, I feel like the International 2 was like the peak.
Yeah,
like when it everything just exploded.
That sounds about right. I want to say it was 2014. It was 09. League started in 09. So we're 10 years now on that thing. So 2014. So 5 years, 4.5, something like that. And he just thinks it was too late.
I think all of us, whether we liked Heroes or not, kind of have shared that opinion for the most part. That, it was just way too late to the scene. And so I don't think this is a big surprise to anyone. I think what's interesting here is hearing Mike Morhaime himself admit it. I wish he had gone deeper. I want to know, like, did they think that at the time? And did they push it through anyway just because of sheer passion? Like, what was, especially right now, because we're hearing about this canceled StarCraft shooter. I've been thinking about it a lot. I'm just like, okay, cool. Well, if Mike Morhaime knows this, did he know it at the time? Did he feel it at the time? Did the team know and feel that at the time?
Yeah.
Blizzard, a company that will axe what we from the outside looking in perceive as essentially a finished product. At the 11th hour, well, why did Heroes get pushed through? This isn't me saying, by the way, well, why'd you even bother releasing it? I'm very glad it did get released. To me, I look at Heroes of the Storm as fuel to the fire of what you've been talking about for the last few weeks and what Terps has been talking about for the last few weeks, which is, hey, Blizzard, maybe put out more things in earlier stages and just let us see if we like it and give you some feedback on it.
Yeah.
Because I think Heroes of the Storm is, that's the MOBA I want to play. It's the reason I still do a show about it. Because, like, I could go do a League show. I could go do a Dota show, but I would rather play Heroes of the Storm. I would rather talk about Heroes of the Storm. Even though it's clearly, it did not hit Blizzard heights in terms of install base.
Right. Not even close. And he says one of the biggest regrets he has is not pursuing Dota early enough. I think part of that is it's not so much early enough as it is Blizzard speed is different than everyone else's speed. And so early enough for them would have needed another 4 years of padding. Like, they really should have been working on a separate game during the Warcraft 3 heyday of Dota. And even says, he admitted there were more people playing Dota in Warcraft 3 than were playing Warcraft 3. So Warcraft 3 as the core playable online game had ceased to be the dominant mode, and that mod had taken over.
It's another one of those things where it's like, this doesn't surprise me to hear because Dota was such a sensation, but it's very interesting to hear Mike Morhaime admit it. But he also talks about that, like, how he said that they had their hands full supporting World of Warcraft. So to me, this is also a bit of an admission of the humanity of Blizzard Entertainment. It was just like, WoW blew up. What could they do?
Right.
At a certain degree, if there's certainly, I get the air of Blizzard being a company of control freaks. like they, again, going back to StarCraft Ghost and this everything that's been revealed with that game, it seemed like that was a failure of letting go, of letting another studio really take the reins with your license and trusting them that whatever they make, whether you agree with the game systems that they developed or not, would be a competent enough game to kind of respect the Blizzard license. Had they just shut up and let the other studio do their thing, we would have had a release game. Instead they gave it to another studio, then they acquired that studio, and then they started chasing trends,
right, and
just spun out and didn't go anywhere.
It's also, if you think about the timing of all of this, Heroes comes out in 2014 right as Titan is being canceled. So it's like final death nail in Titan's coffin is happening right then. And they didn't know they had Overwatch to rise out of the ashes yet. And that would be the colossal hit it was at launch. And it's, eSports pushing all of that. And I think that whether they admit this or not, there must have been a big shadow at Blizzard over the Heroes team that said, hold on, guys. Not quite ready to make you the big showcase esport awesome hot new thing from Blizzard. We got this shooter over here that's just kicking off, and so now that's going to get all of our attention. You were officially in stepson mode.
Oh, I don't agree with that.
You don't think so?
No, I think Heroes of the Storm got a way more of a fair shake than I think the game frankly deserved. They threw a lot of money at HGC. It had very good production values. It had legitimate competition. It had so many LAN events. It kind of made my head spin. And it didn't have the views. It didn't have the players. And yet they gave it years of support.
That's true.
That also, I mean, I don't know. That gets me into a whole nother conversation of as we saw with the layoffs and what departments were affected, it seemed like esports were very heavily affected. I think Blizzard overall overreached in how much they were forcing esports across all of their titles.
Yeah, I think that's clearly been I mean, that from what we've heard internally, and certainly from some of the layoffs, and then people who are a little bit dissatisfied right now, like a lot of those rumors swirl around the esports teams, like they just too much of that too fast, and they kind of got caught unawares by it, I think, and it's a very expensive thing to dial back from. I don't know how things went with Overwatch League this year. I think it was probably okay, but is it where they want it to be? I don't know. I would guess no.
Overwatch League to me just looks so incredibly expensive, and I just don't. I just look at it like this. I don't know how this makes money. Yeah. I don't know how much it costs to invest and get into this yields a return that is worth it.
Right.
So I don't know. I personally am looking at Overwatch League just like I'm just waiting in a few years for them to have to pump the brakes on this too.
Yeah. It feels like they may. Well, I can't say that because I don't know, but I think there is something coming with that. They are going to have to pump the brakes there. It's not going to go.
It's I'm basing that off of nothing other than personally I don't find it that interesting to watch, and I'm probably projecting quite a bit.
Right. What I did find interesting to watch was HGC. That was fun to watch. You know what else I like? The Dungeon Champion stuff that they do with World of Warcraft. Really fun to watch.
Dungeon Invitational is great.
Yeah.
Now that there's more of it and the meta is pretty set, it can get a little boring like other esports, but. Dude, when that first hit the scene, I was like, oh my God, I'm finally interested in WoW esports because I can finally watch how I play World of Warcraft because I don't play Arena. I'm not interested in Arena at all. I could be less interested.
Yeah.
When MDI came out, God, yeah, that I sat there and watched that the whole weekend. True. Katie watched it with me. She's not into esports at all.
All right. I think it's something you can easily glom onto and understand what they're doing, and everyone understands a good race, and that's what that felt like, is like it's just a good race. So they did a good job there. The other thing he says, if I could go back in time, I would have had the team start doing something with Dota before launching StarCraft 2. So in a perfect world, what we may have gotten was Blizzard Dota in 2010, let's say, which would have been perfectly positioned to compete. That was before Dota 2 hits Valve. It's a year after League launches. I think that is plenty of time to get really heavy duty into that. And then StarCraft 2 could have been a 2012, 2013 or later, whatever effort, if they even wanted to pursue it, because I think RTSs were already... People were already questioning how long the return to traditional RTS was even going to last. So maybe had the Blizzard Dota thing been very successful, they wouldn't even touch StarCraft 2. I don't know. I know that would have bummed out a lot of people, but wouldn't have bummed me out. I wish Blizzard dominated in the MOBA market because that's where I want to be. That's what I want to spend my time in when it comes to multiplayer. So anyway, I found this interview just kind of depressing in a weird way. Like not just because of those things, but just kind of like, oh, these are all regrets. None of this is like, I don't know. None of this is like, they made huge accomplishments at that company in that time. And a lot of this was just about regretful things. However, the idea that Morhaime could go do something else now is kind of interesting. Not even in my mind. Hadn't even thought about it. I thought he was just done. Like, what do you do after Blizzard?
Accomplishing everything he had accomplished, he might just be ready to like, hey, I'm good. I'm going to put my feet up for a bit.
Yeah, I would have.
And he still might, right? Like, this is pretty nebulous.
Yeah, that's true. What if he calls Metzen and now they got like this little 2-man team with like millions of dollars behind it and just makes cool games?
Yeah. Okay. He and Metzen get together, launch a new company, make billions, buy back Blizzard from Activision, come full circle. How's that sound?
All right. And while they're at it, they'll buy Bonfire back, or not back, but just buy it and get all those Blizzard people back.
In the meantime, they also buy Tesla, develop a time machine, go back in time, and create their own Dota in a timely fashion.
Man, you've really got the make of it. I think this is all going to happen just that way.
That's how we're going to do it.
It's going to happen. All right.
That's going to walk into his local game store to buy a new Warhammer figure. He comes out and just a DeLorean pulls up and Morhaime runs out and just... it's our games. That's it. Something's got to be done about our games.
Yeah, you're describing the perfect scenario. I would be in full support of your pseudo Back to the Future mishmash with video games. Nice job. Merlin says, wow, you went deep on that one. He sure did. Check this out. All right, we're going to talk about what's happening in the rest of the world of Blizzard. It's kind of quiet in the other games. Like you said, it's go ahead and get over there. But I don't actually know what's going on in Hearthstone, so why don't you tell us? Anything cool?
Well, in the game itself, it's funny to say it's the most quiet it has been in a while. When like 2 weeks ago they buffed cards, a ton of cards, and gave everyone a free new legendary that is seeing inclusion in a lot of meta decks. So like overall, Hearthstone pretty damn healthy right now. But they dropped a teaser for what is definitely the next expansion this week.
You know, everybody keeps talking about. Before I forget this, they keep talking about why you couldn't quickly put together an auto chess clone. Or a competing game like I went off about last week in Heroes of the Storm. But what no one's really talked about is you could actually do that same exact treatment in Hearthstone as a mode. Do you see that ever happening? Probably not, but...
I think it is more realistic than a lot of people are giving it credit.
Interesting. I mean, make a bet. Do you think they do it?
A lot of their creativity in that game, because I get the sensation that they're pretty hamstringed by how they built that engine in terms of drastically overhauling what the game can do. However, some of the things we've seen them do within Hearthstone as we know it is pretty damn impressive, and a lot of it seems to have come out of Tavern Brawl as a kind of a test bed. So I would not be surprised to see something auto chess-esque within the next year.
That would be amazing. I would be really stoked about that because they're maybe just better positioned to do it. They have an active team. There's not this cloud over it the way it is with the Heroes team. Like you could just pound that thing out, but they got to be quick. They can't sit on their butts. I do think it buys them some time though that they are Hearthstone, because a lot of the pros and people who are playing Hearthstone are the ones I'm seeing streaming team time tactics or whatever Riot's thing's called. What's it called?
Team Fight Tactics.
Team Fight Tactics, TFT. I see people streaming Dota Underlords. I see people streaming these games who I usually check out and who are streaming previous to this exclusively Hearthstone. So
that a lot of the bigger names were paid to start streaming those games, and that if they see the views, they're going to keep playing. So they get money up front, and then the views stick. And so it's worth mentioning that there was also, when auto chess first started being like, hey, you wanna stream our game? Here's some money. There was pretty big burnout going on with Hearthstone. It was right before this cascade of new content and kind of new treatments of keeping the game fresh hit.
That's true.
We're talking like before the first balance patch after Rise of Shadows. It felt like a lot of pros were just like, okay, I'm done. This is just the same Hearthstone I've always known. But now suddenly single player is the best it's ever been, and they're tweaking cards in the meta more often and in different ways than we've ever seen them do.
We are definitely in that era now where if you got a hot new thing and you want to push it, you better pay a streamer or a really popular YouTuber, or else you're going to be, you're not going to get the coverage you're going to get. That's 2019 and forward, right? Like we're never going to go back.
After Apex Legends, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. Especially, I think if those development teams are like, hey, Apex Legends can do it, but we can actually update our game in a timely fashion, so we can succeed where Apex Legends failed.
Yeah, good point, right? Oh my gosh, how's Apex doing? Like, are they all right, or are they? What's their deal?
Well, we stopped doing our show because after E3 and EA Play, I was like, oh, your next season is just another gun and another character. I'm done. I'm out.
Not quite the show material it looked like it could
be.
No,
dude, yeah. That's the thing. Like, it's still a really fun game. Of all the battle royales, it's still the one I like playing the most because it just has a really fun gameplay loop, and controlling your character is fun as hell. But in terms of wanting to create content around it, I couldn't be less interested.
Can I interest you? Sorry, I can't remember the name of it, so I have to bring it up because I'm bad with names. Hold on a second. It's called... I've decided what my new favorite battle royale is what I'm getting at. And that game is called... Oh, Steam, you're too slow. This would have been so much faster if I could just say it. Oh, there it is. Can I introduce you into a little game called Super Animal Royale? It's this dumb top-down kind of Animal Crossing looking game, but you're playing these animals and you're playing them in a battle royale scenario, and you're picking up machine guns, AK-47s and stuff, and shooting other animals to death. It's really fun. I'm just putting it out there. It's a total blast. I streamed it for a bunch yesterday. I had a lot of fun with it. It's free to get in there and play without too much of the extras. You pay $10 and you get everything, and it's stupid fun, and I like it. So there's that. Little side recommendation for you. Heroes of the Storm got a new patch, but otherwise it's kind of, Heroes is Heroes doing its thing.
Yeah, we got the Chem rework. We got the Mecha Storm 2 event. I really like the event. It's
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Great new skins. I got my Mecha Vala skin last night, and it has forced me to start rewatching Gundam Wing.
Oh, hey, I started doing that. That's hilarious. I don't think
Gundam
this
Wing
is
specifically?
No, not that in particular, but I started watching that Evangelion thing, Neo, whatever it is on Netflix.
Evangelion?
Yeah, I want to kick that kid. I can't stand him. I hate him.
Shinji's the worst. Everyone hates Shinji. If you hate Shinji, you're watching it correctly.
Okay, good. Oh, really? Then I'll keep going.
Yeah. No, Shinji is like one of the most universal. Dude, like imagine you are a teenager.
Yeah.
Imagine it's early 2000s. You're a teenage Garrett Weinzierl. You're listening to your favorite pop punk CD. I don't know, like early 2000s. You're really into Taking Back Sunday and feeling moody. Okay. And you're enjoying anime. You're a few years into it already. You've already seen Akira and DBZ, and you discover Evangelion. You're like, oh, everyone's like talking about this like it's a Citizen Kane of anime.
Well, all right.
And you start watching it, and you're on the backside of puberty, but you still don't know why you feel the way you feel. And suddenly you see this kid surrounded by attractive, capable women and giant killer robots, and all he wants to do is complain. Yeah. You hate that child because all you want is to be surrounded by attractive, capable women and have giant robots to blow things up with. And this kid doesn't want part of any of it.
Yeah, he's a poo nugget. I can't stand him. I hate him. He's the worst. I really do hate him. But this put me on a road of like asking around for everyone's favorite giant robot anime. And here's the problem I got. I think I figured this out. I like giant robot anime. But I like it when they're all fighting all the time and I don't have to deal with all the stupid sub-stories and relationships. Like, let's just go have a bad thing happen. Uh-oh, what do? Let's get all our robots up and out there to fight. Okay, cool. And then let's have some rad animated mayhem in the sky and then put it to bed and give me another episode of that. Like, I don't want all of the and, girl-boy relationship shit and the kid with the whiny attitude. I don't want any of that. I just want big robots fighting, and if you're telling me this doesn't exist, well then, fine. I won't dig through the 9,000 Gundam series that exist. I'll instead go just watch the freaking Transformers movie again from 1987. That's got a lot of robot fighting.
All right, I will defend Evangelion as in saying that I find every character except Shinji wildly interesting.
Okay.
And I actually enjoy them. You should try... You should try Gundam 08th MS Team because it's the most grounded Gundam. It's like it kind of plays out like a military drama, but with giant robots.
All right, that's I like that. Like I want the drama. I don't want just. I mean, obviously, if it's nothing but action and no substance, then like, what's the point of anything like that? I get that, but someone says Gundam Wing. That's what you're watching now, right?
Yeah, if you don't like teenager stuff that in your anime, don't watch Gundam Wing.
Good. I'm not gonna watch Gundam Wing then. What I want is like a military story. Exactly. That's what I want. I just don't want. Hey, you're 12 and you're confused and your dad left. Do you want to save the world? Like, I can't do that anymore.
You don't want to watch most anime, Scott. I've got news for you. It's kind of a major trope in a lot of anime.
I know, but the stuff I like never has that. But there's so little of it, and it drives me crazy. Give 08th MS Team a try. I think it's on Hulu, and it's a shorter one of the series, so you can get through it relatively quickly. Have you seen that Gurren Lagann thing? I saw some of that.
Oh, dude, Gurren Lagann is funny as hell.
Yeah?
It is. Have you watched it?
No, but I've got it queued up. I'm gonna try it.
You can't not go into that wanting like a serious mech time. It's so off the walls.
All right. I want serious mech time. That's what I want. Well, you've said it well. You know what I want? Here's what I've decided I want, and I know this is unreasonable. I think I said this on Twitter. I'll say it again. I want Western writers and Japanese animators to make a really cool robot thing. That's what I want.
Oh, okay. I can't help you with the robots, but it's called Avatar: The Last Airbender, and its sequel Korra, and you should just watch that.
I did watch and I love those. So that's exactly what I'm asking is for something that's got that kind of writing, but that kind of style. even though that was mostly done in Korea, I think. Doesn't matter, whatever. Asian style animation, sort of anime inspired. I'm fine with all that. And I just
Dice Tomato does have a. Have you watched Outlaw Star?
No. How's that?
It's very cool.
Okay, I'll write that one down.
It's super cool, man. It's like what I wanted Trigun to be.
Yeah, but Trigun just didn't try hard enough.
Yeah.
Get it?
It's fun.
Okay.
I think you would like that. You would probably dig Outlaw Star. It's like a over the top anime version of Firefly.
All right, I'm into that. That's kind of what Cowboy Bebop was for me. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. No, it's very much in that vein.
Good.
Super stylish, but over the top, Japanese as hell.
I just don't want any kids who are given a special gem who now go, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't know what the power. Oh, no, you're the chosen one. F that. I don't want to do that anymore. Hate it. Just give me some cool action.
Why did you try watching Attack on Titan? I
am watching Attack on Titan because, you know what? I know it's got a lot of that stuff in it, especially that kid at the beginning.
Oh, you're enjoying it. Okay.
I am enjoying it. And the reason I'm enjoying Attack on Titan is because the Titans are freaking, it's so weird. It's such a weird concept that these big lumbering humanoid freaking Mr. Goodbody looking dudes are just wandering through the forest trying to find human flesh. I love it. Like, I love that part of it, and I like the action in that thing. It's really cool, but I hear in season 2 it really bogs down with the relationships and crap, and I don't want that. So
I couldn't get past the first episode. I hated it. It offended my eyeballs. I couldn't stand the style. I hated the characters. And their hip cables make no physical sense and really make me mad.
It's kind of working for me. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I stick with it. Now,
I'm clearly in the minority. It is a wildly popular anime.
Yeah, it's like the biggest there is, right? At the moment? I'm pretty sure it's the biggest.
One Punch Man probably has definitely overtaken it, but yeah.
I do enjoy One Punch Man.
One Punch Man and My Hero Academia, which I haven't started yet, but everyone won't shut up about it.
Oh, I also like the Full Metal Alchemist thing. I watched that whole thing.
Oh, well, yeah. Especially Brotherhood. That's like a perfect
Brotherhood was good. That's the one I watched was Brotherhood. And then I watched...
that's not going to scratch that mech itch. If you've been playing Heroes...
No, yeah. None of the mech stuff's getting solved yet, but my other general anime interests have been lightly touched upon. I'll tell you the other one, and then we'll move on to emails. It was... shit. Oh, I'm tempted. I know it's nothing new to everybody else, but I haven't seen a single hair or moment of Death Note. Is it Death Note?
I've watched it 4 times all the way through.
You like Death Note?
It's probably my favorite anime next to Fully Cooley.
And what am I gonna like there? Or there's some kid who's an orphan who learns he's the savior of the world? I don't want any Neo stories.
Death Note is cool. I like it because it's cat and mouse like Breaking Bad. Yeah, it sets up all these rules and it's all about, oh my God, how is this character going to get out of the bind they are now in because of the crimes they are committing?
All right. And is there Death Note's about killing people? Cool. Is it violent? Because I like violent anime.
It's subdued. If you want violent, go watch Berserk. I mean, like, do you want Berserk violent or do you want like people, falling off buildings violent?
I want like, how do I put this? I like the weirder your anime is, the more I'm into it. And I don't mean like sex stuff. I don't care about any of that. Take your hentai somewhere else. But I mean like,
let me tell you about High School of the Dead.
I just mean like hyper stylized, like fluid fighting action, which is often violent. That stuff appeals to me.
Death Note is very it's oddly grounded for a show that involves a book that kills people because death gods are real.
Yeah. All right.
It is oddly grounded, but it is one of my favorite, and I love it so much. I love the writing. I love the characters. It's my jam.
All
and Katie, it's like her favorite ever, and she's not a big anime fan.
All right. Well, someone in the chat says watch the film Paprika. I did see that. I've seen all the big movies. Like, I've seen a lot of that stuff. All your standards, like, Akira multiple times and freaking Ghost in the Shell so many times I couldn't even tell you how many times I've seen it. But yeah, I'm now going to go watch Death Note. All right. Welcome to our anime podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it.
that went off.
Went off the scale. Now let's play this.
Hear
Why, it's the Town Crier.
All right, we are going to do a couple of quick emails here at the end of the show. This comes to us to the email address that we use. That's theinstance@gmail.com. We got an email from Adam who wrote in and says this. Hi, guys. Started listening to your show back in 2012, and I want to thank you for uploading your archive shows. During episode 8, all the way back, you interviewed a player with a high-level paladin. We used to do this back in the day. You probably remember that because you were listening then. Anyway, this is a prime example of why there are people willing to give up certain quality of life features to play Classic. Both Scott and Andy state at the time that people were trying to play paladins as if they were warriors and could heal and stop playing, and then stop playing them because it wasn't working out very well. My 120 paladin today plays like a warrior who can heal. The listener stated in order to play the paladin well, you had to utilize all the abilities and know when to use certain abilities. This is not saying vanilla was hard, but a different playstyle than it is today. From a playstyle perspective, do you think other classes have become totally different than what they were like in vanilla? Do you think some classes have remained similar? Thanks, guys, and keep up the good work. I mean, they've all gone through major evolutions over time, Garrett, but I would probably say, I mean, the Paladin's actually a really good example. Another might be, I feel like Warlocks used to just be, dots and kind of support sort of work, and now they do, and by support I don't mean healing, but adding dots, doing AoE things, giving benefit to a team in a different kind of way, and now they just feel like another DPS class.
I do really feel that overall, speaking generally, there has been a lot of homogenization across all of the classes and play styles in this game. Especially when compared to Classic. And it's a difficult question for me to answer from my own personal experience because I only played a Hunter in vanilla. And my answer is yes, Hunter has changed a lot since vanilla, including specs that didn't exist even in a couple expansions ago. But generally speaking, I think the same is true of just about every class in the game.
Yeah, in the case of Hunters, their job was always to shoot things, so they still do that real well. They probably
it depends on how general you want to get with it, but in terms of how it feels to play a Hunter, it feels so much different and so much more streamlined than it used to.
Yeah, for sure. I think they've all done it. I don't think there's one example I can think of that hasn't changed. I mean, maybe Warriors. Well, even Warriors have changed a lot, even though their focus has remained relatively the same, but they haven't just sat there. So I think that there is a lot of people always talk about class identity and that WoW's lost that. Well, vanilla refuels that. That gives you lots of class identity. Those classes were all very, very different. And that homogenization you're talking about just isn't there in the old game. So
I really think it depends on what you yourself prefer. I think looking back on Classic, like overall, I really like how different everyone's classes felt. But I do think it went a little too far. Like it felt, they were like multiple specs that if you wanted to raid, felt like they were just kind of useless.
Yeah.
The only reason you get by is because there were so many people in the raid. You could probably bring in one or two people with unoptimal specs because it wouldn't completely derail the raid.
But you can see why they did it. Like these changes were made to make the game more approachable, accessible. Your group could run even if you were missing that one guy that used to be required. Like I know why Blizzard moved that way. And in lots of ways that it's hard to just think of them all right now, but in lots of ways we prefer that because now the game is immediately just accessible. You just get in, you can play. But some of that gets lost. I totally agree, which is why I wish Blizzard, I mean, we've said it for years and they're never going to do this probably, but if they made like a Skyrim scope style Warcraft game, a single player focused Warcraft game set in a world like that in Azeroth, but you are a single hero against the world, progressing however you want to progress, that's when you can go crazy with differences in classes because then there's no balance issues. Balance screws up everything.
I mean, I want to bring it back to WoW real quick and say that I would like to. It's a hot topic right now, right? Because they just recently those comments came out about how they said that they think they went a little too far.
Yeah.
In the homogenization of the classes, and I think a lot of us are realizing by by dipping our toes in the classic that, yeah, there was merit to this. There was something that this did bring something to the game. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see this addressed in the next expansion or maybe even future patches. Because I think a lot of us are realizing that we kind of want more unique feeling and delineation between our classes and our specs. And also, like, leveling is so streamlined now. Like, and you can buy a boost.
Mm-hmm.
So with all of that, I don't see any reason not to have a lot more kind of aggressive differences between classes.
The only place where that sucks is multiplayer. I mean, honestly, if they didn't have that aspect, you could go crazy. You wouldn't have to worry about, making somebody too strong or too weak. You could go like Diablo and just make characters do whatever wacky thing they do, and never the twain shall meet,
Yeah, well, what I'm getting at is that in vanilla, it really felt bad if, like you were really hyped up and like, I'm going to be a protection paladin, and you spend all that time getting the 60 and you realize that it's basically useless.
Yeah.
Like that's rough, because what do? All right, well, I'm going to go re-roll. I'll see you guys in 3 months when I'm level 60 on my useful spec character. Like, that stinks, but now that's not really a worry. Like, you can just buy a boost. With every expansion, you get a boost. So why not take bigger chances, create larger divides between the classes? Because if it doesn't work out, that's okay. Also, you can patch it.
This is true.
It's a big problem.
Yeah, just patch that shit, son. That's what I say. Here's one from Kaylin, who wrote in, says, the latest episode of The Instance, and the message is, in regards to the level squish, do you think it could be possible that they'll bring back talent trees? It seems like they first retired the skill point system because the level cap continued to increase. With a reduction in level, could we see a return of that system? I don't think so. You might see more granularity in the current system, but I think they're pretty happy with that. As much as I'm going to play vanilla when it launches, and there'll be things to do in that talent tree, and there'll be all the min-maxing there used to be and all of that. I don't miss that big dumb tree. I don't miss it. I find it obnoxious and silly. However, some could argue the current system is really simple and not all that complicated, and really is another glyph system. Like, we kind of have glyph systems across the game.
Yeah, I mean, I would take the other side of that coin and say I think that artifact weapons showed us that there's still a great interest in talent trees, even if they're still rather straightforward and you end up getting a lot of the stuff. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what we're talking about with the squish, is just making the gamification of leveling up feel a little more rewarding?
Yeah, I think that's actually a good point. And I actually like the weapon ones, so it's funny for me to say that I really like the old talent system. Maybe because I was just sick of looking at it or something, but...
Yeah, and you could probably do something that's in between.
Right.
Kind of granular, small level talents and still have the larger, major talents that we have now, and still find a way to, like, have your tome of tranquil mind or whatever, let you only switch out kind of the major talents and leave your minor ones alone, so you're not having to screw with all that stuff in between pulls in a raid.
This is true. Man, it just hit me the other day. This is an unrelated thing. Well, it's related, but it's not to this question. When I was growing up, RPGs were for nerds, and it was a subset. It was people who, didn't play cool games that were fast and real time, like, Quake and Doom and freaking Unreal and that kind of stuff. And it had its fans, but RPG games were just less. There were less of those, and it was considered a subgenre, and one that was a little unapproachable and all of that. And over the years, you've seen it grow and grow and grow, and there's big tentpole moments like the Baldur's Gate series, or certainly World of Warcraft, but before that, lots of things. The Elder Scrolls series in general. And it hits me. I think everything is now subservient to the RPG model. And I mean everything. All your favorite shooters use a progression system based on RPG mechanics. Most mobile games have something in them, parts of them that are like upgrade mechanics, or things that used to be the sole domain of what an RPG would do. It's fascinating if you think about it. If you go back and just look at the historical growth. I would love like a documentary on this. No one's ever going to do it, but it'd be awesome to just follow the concept of RPG from tabletop in those earliest days to what it is now. That'd be fascinating. I'd be totally into it.
Yeah, you're not totally crazy. I mean, I always go back to like Modern Warfare 2, and I was like, oh my god, an unlock system.
Yeah.
In a shooter.
Yeah.
This is blowing
and
my
that was
mind.
a huge moment, right? Because then shooters from then on were just all going to do that from then on. That was going to be it. So they deserve huge credit for doing that. But at the same time, it was like RPGs smiling in the background going, yeah, dude, we've been telling you for a long time. Leveling up's rad. You're going to get
City in the
hooked on
chat
this.
was not wrong though. Like it really what they took was progression systems and a lot of the actual role play elements like are nowhere to be found in a lot of games.
Yeah, well, they're on the. I mean, they remain where they were best. Like they're D&D and they're Cyberpunk. Those are. I would agree with him. Like that, if you really want to role play, like somebody, like we do with our show on the weekends with There Will Be Dungeons. I love to role play in there, and it's so much fun because you don't know where it's going to go. It's not based on a limited set of algorithmic choices or things that video games are bad at. It's awesome, but they're still great there. It's all happening. Those aren't dying. In fact, there's a resurgence right now. That stuff's killing it right now. So,
Big time.
yeah. So I don't have a problem with video games ripping off what works. I think that's great. Let those RPG systems that work live in the video game world. But there's just so many of them now. And I remember there was a lot of people back when I was playing Doom that were just like, RPGs, those are lame. Those are for nerds. Those are for guys who, can't cut it in a Quake world. Like, there was a lot of anti sort of RPG. I just remember that in the early PC days of like the early 90s, and it's just all changed now. So there you go. Thank you for your emails, both of you. We appreciate them. They come to us at theinstance@gmail.com. You can also send your voicemails to 801-471-0462. And that's going to do it for the show. Garrett, what's happening at amove.tv this week?
Well, there's all kinds of shows over there. Let's Talk About Star Wars, as I mentioned before, is now weekly. So if you want to hear Tom Merritt, Jenny Josephson, and myself talk about Star Wars, go find Let's Talk About Star Wars over at amove.tv or anywhere you get your podcasts. Angry Chicken, Into the Nexus, all those things still going strong. Go check them out.
Congrats on your Disney getting the Galaxy's Edge coming soon. That's exciting.
They haven't announced reservations, which makes me terrified.
Well, maybe you'll be in your 50s, but it'll be great. And we look forward to hearing how it goes. What else is going on? There's lots of stuff always happening in and around the Frog Pants Network. So if you'd like to check more of that out, head on over to frogpants.com and check out the other shows we have going as well. And enjoy yourselves there. I think that's going to do it for us. Reminder, theinstance.net is our website. If you want to support us, there is a support system there that we made from the ground up. It's a great way to support us. You get bonus shows, you get bonus content, you get artwork in the mail, you get all kinds of things that you wouldn't get otherwise, and most importantly, you get to support the show you love for all these many years. So go check that out. That's over at theinstance.net, and you can find all our links there that you need. You can also simply send us those emails, follow us on Twitter, all that stuff. It's all linked. That's going to do it for us, for me, for Garrett, and for all of you. We'll see you next time. Bye now. Well done, everyone. Well done.